Hi everyone, Crazy Yamato here, and I have been thinking quite a bit of an idea as I created a playlist titled Welcome to the Carnival, and I posted the first entry of it titled Pinterest Tells Me What to Draw. The Carnival Challenge where it shows Princess Catherine Beatriz Avelina. And if you want to see that video, it's just right above me. Grab your digital pen and tablets. Let's start to draw the jester, misery, and his lore. Before the curse and the creation of the Aurelix Carnival, the parade of the hapless undead, and before the golden princess became the lich queen, there once was a kingdom of Aurelia. A kingdom filled with warmth, music, and laughter. Among the people who brings happiness was a young jester named William von Belmont. William was one of Princess Catherine's personal entertainers. He wasn't a great musician, he wasn't the most talented performer, and most of his jokes weren't even that funny. But in some ways, he could make the Golden Princess smile and even laughs at his jokes. Wherever Princess Catherine was exhausted in her duties, William would appear in her office with a ridiculous performance, jokes, exaggerated dances, and out of nowhere gifts. Sometimes the princess would laugh, sometimes she would just stare at him in silence, and sometimes she would scold him and make him leave. But William would always come back, making it his sole responsibility to make the Golden Princess to laugh in his performance. The last night of the Jubilee was supposed to be the grandest celebration the kingdom had ever held. The streets were filled with music, a golden lights covered the kingdom. Nobles and commoners celebrated together without hindrances, and everyone waited to the grand arrival of their beloved princess. Among those people, William was also seen in the celebration. He had prepared a special performance. He wanted to make the greatest performance yet. He wanted to make the princess and her people laugh one more time before the jubilee will end. But then, the blue fire appeared in the sky. At first, William thought it was part of a celebration. Then the music stopped, the lights went dark, and the screams began. A black ooze of smoke had spread through Aurelia. The people who had been dancing earlier suddenly fell one by one. Their bodies twisted, their face changed. The soldiers became something that couldn't be comprehended. The performers became monsters. The streets had been once been filled with happiness, became a nightmare. William stood frozen in the middle of it all. He didn't understand what was happening. He only knew one thing. He needed to find Catherine. He ran toward the castle, but the curse caught him. His body collapsed. The last thing he remembered was hearing the distant screams of his people. And then everything went dark. When William opened his eyes again, Aurelia was no longer the kingdom he remembered. His body had changed. His skin had become pale, his eyes no longer looked alive, and the cheerful bells attached to his jester's costume now sounded strangely haunting. He was dead, but somehow he was still moving. William wandered through the ruined streets, searching for Catherine. Eventually, he found her. She was standing above the remains of the kingdom, but she was no longer the golden princess. Her beautiful golden hair had turned ghostly white. Her eyes had become crimson. The warmth that once surrounded her was gone. Catherine had become something else. Something created by the curse. William looked at her. For the first time in his life, he didn't know what to say. The princess he had spent years making laugh was standing before him as the ruler of the dead. Catherine looked at him. She recognized him, despite everything that had happened. She still remembered her jester. She slowly approached him, and for a moment neither of them spoke. Then Catherine asked quietly, "You're still here?" William looked at the ruined kingdom around them. Then he looked back at his princess. He gave a small bow. "Of course, your highness." He looked at the empty streets. His crooked smile slowly returned. "The show isn't over yet." From that night onward, William remained beside Catherine. When Catherine gathered the remaining undead and transformed the ruins of Aurelia into the Aurelix Carnival, William became one of its first performers. He returned to his old role as a jester, but things were different now. His jokes became darker, his laughter became strange, and his performances were no longer meant to entertain the living, they were meant to entertain the dead. He danced through the carnival while undead musicians played their haunting melodies. He entertained the soldiers, he performed for the cursed citizens, and whenever Catherine appeared, William was always somewhere nearby. But Catherine eventually gave him another role, a role that only she knew about, her play. The Aurelix Carnival was not welcome everywhere it went. Some kingdoms feared Catherine, some wanted to destroy her, and others want to free the souls trapped within the carnival. And whenever someone threatened Catherine or tried to stop her eternal celebration, William was sent after them. He became the shadow behind the carnival, the jester who could smile while carrying out the darkest orders. He would enter enemy camps disguised as a harmless performer. He would make them laugh, he would dance, he would tell them stories, and before they realized what was happening, the performance would be over. William would return to Catherine without asking questions. He never questioned her orders, because to him, Catherine was still the princess he had served before Aurelia fell. He knew she had changed. He knew the curse had taken something from her. But he also knew that beneath the Lich Queen was still the woman who once stood on a balcony and smiled at her. The woman who wanted everyone to be happy. The woman who once laughed at his terrible jokes. Years passed, the Aurelix Carnival continued to travel from kingdom to kingdom. The people of the living world began to tell stories about the strange parade. They spoke of its ghostly lights, its undead soldiers, its haunting melody, its monstrous creatures, and among of them, there was always a jester, a pale figure dancing between the walls, sometimes laughing, sometimes silent, always watching. They call him Misery, but very few knew who he truly was. He wasn't born a monster. He wasn't born an assassin. He was simply a jester who wanted to make his princess smile. And perhaps that is what makes his story so tragic. William could have left. He could have turned against Catherine. He could have abandoned the carnival and wandered into a world alone. But he never did. Because the Aurelix Carnival was the last thing connecting him to the life he once had. And Catherine was the last person he remembered from that life. He stayed, he laughed, he danced, he performed, and he killed whenever his princess commanded him to. because in his mind, the golden jubilee never truly ended. The music is still playing, the lights are still shining, the people are still celebrating, and somewhere deep inside the heart of the undead jester, misery is still waiting for the moment when his princess will finally smile again. Until then, the show must go on. And here's the result. Meet William von Belmont, also known as Misery, the jester of the Aurelix Carnival. The whole process was definitely challenging, but it was also a lot of fun bringing this character to life. I hope you enjoy watching the drawing process and learning a little bit about Misery's story. And that's all for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos. There's another one right here if you want to continue exploring the Aurelix Carnival.